Good morning, ladies and gentlemen. This is Off Day with Ballpark Nation. I'm live here with Jim. We're in two separate cities, but in the Midwest. I
Yeah,
guess
we're
if
not even.
Fargo is the Midwest. I'm coming to you live this morning from Fargo. I'm Andy Tomchessen, and with me, as always, the normal host of this show, James Christopher, who is sitting at O'Hare Airport in Chicago, hoping there's no more thunderstorms today.
Yeah, hopefully kudos to the good folks at Chicago O'Hare because they had hours of traffic backed up, but the security moved forward. Now I'm sitting in a random hallway. And I love that it's 2026 because no one's walking by me looking at me weird, going, "Is this dude really doing a show in the middle of a hallway?" I am. But yeah, coming to you from Chicago on my way to Fargo. Andy, we're going to be together for a baseball game. How great is that?
And to be fair, you're probably one of seven people in a hallway doing a show from O'Hare this morning.
It's probably true. We're gonna start guest hosting each other's stuff coming soon. But definitely excited to talk a little sports. Andy, I know we had talked a little bit about our agenda today, but first things first, we got to give a shout out. We're gonna go watch the Wood Chippers tonight. This logo is sweet.
I'm excited for the merch, although I did not plan for the weather correctly here because it's really hard to tell what it's supposed to be like 79 today, but it might get down in the 40s while we're in the park. I don't know. So I'll probably be purchasing a hoodie it'll be a single use hoodie.
That aren't all. When you live in Texas, though, aren't all hoodies single use hoodies?
Yeah, but the good news is the Red Hawks, the regular branding for Fargo Moorhead baseball team looks pretty sweet. So I'm excited to see if they have one of those available. If not, I may be wood chipping it up with you.
Yeah,
We'll also, while we're at the ballpark, be keeping an eye on Team USA playing Paraguay in the opening round of the World Cup.
yeah. How excited are you for that? I'm pretty pumped. I wish that we had more. Yeah, there
Got
you
my,
oh, you are. You got your kit.
got my kit.
Your kit is on. I'm pretty pumped for the World Cup. Although I feel a little bit the way we felt about the World Baseball Classic too, where I wish more Americans were excited about Team America and not more excited about Team whatever country they're from or whatever country their ancestors came to from 100 years ago.
Well, I was looking at that and I was trying to, as I was fading off to sleep last night, watching Czechia blow a match to South Korea, because they were up 1-0 at one point. Trying to figure out if I wasn't rooting for the USA, because I don't have high hopes that we're going to advance very far, if out of group play at all. Um, who I would root for. Poland did not make the cut. And if I'm going ancestral, my next logical option would be England, who historically does not do well in this tournament. So I may just be picking a team randomly, a country randomly by next weekend.
I think you should pick the country that the most Astros are from.
Is Venezuela in it? I'll have to check.
I don't know, but yeah, but neither Ireland nor Poland
Ooh,
made.
Scotland, just so I can walk around with that accent for no
Yes,
reason.
I think you're allowed to do that. But no, it's exciting. There's definitely a palpable energy to it. Um, you know, we both flew through a major international airport. You definitely see people coming and going and trying to get there, trying to get to the different spots. So I don't know. It's interesting. I don't know how good Team USA is because part of it is, of course, this is like our fifth best sport, right? Like
Yeah,
that's yeah.
I mean, I think there is a very large case to be said, and it's the infrastructure's gotten better certainly since even 4 years ago, but certainly 20 years ago or 40 years ago when we were kids. But our best athletes play football or basketball, and then there's guys with really good arms that play baseball. I don't know there's many athletes that play baseball. It's a John Kruk reference, ladies and
Not
gentlemen.
to say, I immediately thought of Lance Berkman tripping over center field in
Exactly.
Tal's Hill. So
Lance Berkman is not intimidating anybody on a soccer pitch.
that man is a gazelle.
I actually invested, I guess, 5 hours in the USA versus the World documentary on HBO Max, whatever it's called this week. And it was a really well produced promotional video, for lack of a better term, but it's hard to get a feeling about what this team is capable of because they got tagged with a moniker during the last World Cup of being the golden generation for U.S. soccer. and
Mhm.
having players that were and are competing at the highest level in European leagues and look really good. But they get together and put on USA jerseys and can't seem to win matches. And they've been through multiple coaches over the last 6 years. They have rotated players in and out. So they have the talent, if you listen to the certain people, to go really, really far and have a really good showing. They also have the talent to be done at the end of group play. Um, it will be somewhere, the truth is somewhere in the middle, I guess. But I think it would be one of those things that if this team gets out of group play and can win the next match, you're going to start seeing people who don't care about soccer care about this team all of a sudden. And
Yeah.
I think that'd be great, both for the sport and for these guys, because they seem like a team mostly of likable guys. Even the controversial ones like Christian Pulisic, who dared to sit out the Gold Cup season because he was tired from his real job at AC Milan and stopped since he was basically 4. But he's a bad guy. He didn't care about the national team, or he needed a break because the national team doesn't pay him money.
Yeah. Well, and the best I've seen as far as projections are, I think people think this team could top out at like the round of 16, getting down to the top 16 teams, which is what they did last time. But there's an extra round this time, or maybe even an extra 2 rounds. Like they've drastically increased the number of teams. So I'm with you. We're not looking to see this team win. It's like the women's team. This is about
No, the
making
women's
some
team actually
progress.
wins.
Yeah, they with some
Sorry.
regularity actually.
Like
Yeah.
most of our sports, the women's team, most of our national teams, the women's team actually is successful and wins tournaments.
Yeah.
But there is top end talent on our 11. Weston McKinney plays for Juventus. Is probably the best player on their team this year. Mentioned Christian Pulisic, Tim Weah. There's a handful of guys that are among the best in the world. I mean, if you're doing a top 50 or something like that, they'd be in that list. I think it's a depth issue, like most of the U.S. teams. That's you don't have layers and layers and layers of guys that are at that top end, and
Yeah.
other countries can put that together because this. I mean, I was just in England and I was in Ireland. In those countries, you play soccer, you play football, or you play rugby, and that's it. There is not a fifth, sixth, and seventh. They're not a bunch of guys trying out for ice hockey.
I don't know. I just found that really funny. The idea of an Irish ice hockey player makes me giggle. I don't know. I
I'm
didn't want
sure
to do
there's
shout
been
out
one.
to. Yeah, there had to have been at least one, right? And he was the fighter, by the way. Like he was the
Right.
goon on the team.
Absolutely.
Yeah, that was his job.
He was paid in ale.
It's right. I will say though, I would do a shout out though, real quick, to Isabella Artaza, former student of mine who actually was the first person to make me think the World Cup was good. So Isabella, I'll send this to you to make sure you see it. One of the things that's interesting is as we turn to college football for the crux of the show, you and I have been telling everybody. I had Andy. I've seen Aggies getting into this conversation saying Texas is not your rival. Do you know? We've dealt with this ridiculousness, but somehow Texas Tech is gone, and I do think that you can't take the softball team out of the equation. But they have gone from just 10 days ago of Texas is scared to play them, we're all with Tech, to basically being college sports public enemy number one. Nothing about this excuse with Sorsby passes the smell test, in my opinion, from we're just trying to take care of a kid. My brother Tim is a recovering alcoholic. He didn't recover from drinking by immediately becoming Sam Malone and opening a bar. If they're really trying to get this kid to recover, dropping him in the middle of a college football team where these problems started isn't the solution. None of this passes the smell test.
Well, we can talk about that for just a second. But last I checked, if a heroin addict murders somebody, they still go to prison if they're convicted. They don't get to go, well, it was the heroin. Sorry, no foul. That's not how this works. College athletes, just so you know, in case you don't, every year, if you're in the NCAA, you have to sign something. And what it's kind of like that pledge from Dazed and Confused about that you're going to stay on the straight and narrow, and everybody laughs at it, winks at it. But one of the things that's in
I'm
there,
gonna roll it. fucking sign the
Exactly.
joint, man.
One of the things that's in there is a full line, not dissimilar to the language that baseball players read in their clubhouse about there is zero tolerance for gambling, zero tolerance for associating with gamblers, zero tolerance for betting on your own games. They have to sign that acknowledge at the beginning of every season. So it's not an unknown thing. So Brendan Sorsby absolutely knew what he was doing was wrong. And I've heard the argument, well, they weren't big bets. The bets that were that were placed on the teams that he actually could influence or have inside knowledge of only total like $850. It doesn't matter.
No,
it's not
and-
the amount of the money. It's the
And before you
the integrity
continue,
of the sport.
before you continue, I want to dispel one more rumor. He always bet on his team to win. Actually, they found that some of the prop bets were like betting the under on passing yards for Indiana. That's not betting on your team to win. He
No.
absolutely used insider knowledge to bet on the team underperforming. Absolutely, he
Yeah,
did.
because you sit in the quarterback room and go, hey, we're going to run the ball this week because this team can't defend the run. That's insider information.
Yeah.
And it affects and why is it a big deal? Because it affects the integrity of the game. If you don't have integrity of sports, if I'm not able to sit down and watch Texas play Texas A&M in football and know that the outcome's not predetermined or not being influenced because somebody's got money on the game, I might as well be watching pro wrestling.
Exactly.
And that's ultimately the issue. And the fact that Tech keeps doubling down on this nonsense is just so remarkably on brand. We were talking before we got on air. The rest of the country is getting to experience what it's like being a college football fan or a college sports fan in the state of Texas and having to deal with Tech the once every 10 to 15 years that they're relevant.
Are you surprised that they're risking the level of institutional damage they are to their reputation because they're not winning the PR battle? You've now got Ken Paxton fighting for you, which means Ken Paxton, by the way, stupid political move because it means he's upset the actual institutions that matter in the state of Texas when it comes to Texas and Texas A&M. But Sorsby's going to be around for one football season. I'm shocked at the level of recruiting ammunition that you're now giving every other school that's going to recruit against Tech. I'm shocked that they're rolling out all of it all at the behest of one billionaire.
Yeah, I think the other thing that's really, really weird is they're projected to make the playoff field, but they're not projected to be anywhere better than ninth place finish in the whole thing. And yeah, you have some control of your own destiny and all that, but this is still a temporary injunction. So at some point after the season, what is probably going to happen is that Sorsby's team is going to drop their lawsuit. And then anything that Tech accomplishes this year will be deemed to be ineligible if it goes forward. So let's say they win the Big 12, they're going to vacate that championship. Let's say they win 12 games, they're going to vacate all 12 of those wins, or I guess 10 that Sorsby is going to participate in. That's how that works. So they could win the whole fucking enchilada and have nothing to show for it at the end of the day. That is Texas Tech in a nutshell.
I would
except they've never won the whole enchilada.
Yeah, I thought and it's funny because you'll see a lot of A&M and
enchiladas sound good, by the way. I'm hungry.
They really do, but we're not in the right spot for it.
No,
I'm more in the right spot than you are. And
I ate at a place and looked at a menu for another place last night. Both places had chicken pot pies, which I love, but that's the opposite end of the culinary world from an enchilada.
Yeah, exactly. And I would get a chicken pot pie in Fargo.
It was the one I got was delicious. Shout out Granite City Brewery.
Yeah. See, now I know where to go have lunch tomorrow. So there you go. But yeah, I would do that, but I wouldn't do it there. But it's just, anytime Billy Lucci and Amanda Atwell had a great episode of their show, Moving Goalposts. I sent you a clip of Mac Brown talking about it. But the problem is that anytime anybody of the college football hierarchy says anything, their retort is, you just don't want Tech to be good. No, we want to be able to hold on to one of the last few things that feels real in this world. I mean, we have a fucking UFC stadium being built on the White House lawn. Like, we're in the fucking the simulation now. We're trying to hold on to the one thing that has any degree of integrity.
Oh, I mean, we are. I know it's trite, and I know people said it, and it's not an original thought, but we are in idiocracy. If you watch the film, it's no longer a farcical tale of a far off future. If things go bad, things have gone bad. We're having UFC matches on the White House lawn.
Although it's going to rain. How funny is that?
I hope that that fat fuck has to sit out there and just absorb every drop of the rain for the video for the visual. I need to see that. I also know that if it's not raining, June outdoors in Washington D.C. is fairly fucking miserable from a humidity standpoint.
Yeah.
These guys are peak athletes that are going to be fighting and all of that. I don't think most of them. I know most of the UFC fights don't happen in the outdoors in 100% humidity.
Mm-mm.
I fully expect somebody to just collapse.
I was thinking about it from a collapsing like heat and humidity thing. I was thinking about it from a um things get slick. Like
Yeah,
you I mean, you're not
yeah.
used to fighting.
Condensation is a thing.
Yeah. You're not used to fighting on a wet mat when you're out there wrestling around. By the way, to have it in June though is the most pride thing possible. Bunch of grown men hugging each other in their underwear. I'm here for it.
I am very proud of our administration for finally embracing pride. I mean, and what better way to do it than a bunch of sweaty men rubbing each other on a lawn
Bunch of sweaty men.
while another old billionaire watches it with a half chub.
When he's awake.
Well, for the part that he's awake for, yeah,
The part
absolutely.
he's awake for. But yeah, I've seen a lot of back to the Texas Tech thing. I've seen a lot of college football experts say they don't think he's playing. That when this is all said and done, and Texas Tech has even introduced the language of saying we never said he was playing. We said he's on the team. What do you think is going to actually happen?
Oh, I think if Brendan Sorsby being on the field gives Texas Tech a chance to win a football game, he'll be on the field, because I don't think that Kirby Hocutt or the head coach, or especially Cody Campbell, who is actually running the athletic department. Well, that brings me to another point. Why are we even listening to the head coach for Texas Tech? Why do we listen to the AD for Texas Tech? Neither of those guys actually run their program.
Yeah,
Cody Campbell runs their program. Everybody knows that Cody Campbell runs their program. If Cody Campbell calls in a play for third down, guess what they're going to run? Whatever Cody Campbell said for them to do. So the fact that we're going to these two officials or these two administrative figureheads and acting like they get to have an opinion other than Cody Campbell's is ludicrous. But
is
all that
Cody?
being said, if Cody Campbell wants this kid to play because he thinks he's going to win Tech a football game, that's what's going to happen. And it doesn't matter if this kid is going to suffer long-term damage because he can't control his gambling. It doesn't matter if this kid's going to suffer irreparable reputational harm, because for at the end of the day, for that program, it is all about, did we win a football game?
Campbell's basically become the Jerry Jones of college football.
Yeah. Although I don't know how much he even backs the travel industry. This is just this is literally just a millennial who has a ton of money, was very successful in business, had some breaks go his way, because you don't make that much money without a little bit of luck involved.
Sure.
And is living out his dream. And I don't, there's some level of me, I don't blame him. That would be a fantastic position. But there is also a point where you give the money and then you step back and let the guys that actually run the team run the team. And he leapt over that line years ago.
He did. And then for him to argue in one hand, talking about, I want to have legislation to ban the number of transfers you can have, which, by the way, would have meant Sorsby wouldn't have been on this team. His comparison saying, well, it's not like he murdered somebody. No, it's not like he murdered anybody. But to your point, it's the one. I mean, I'm sitting here in Chicago. Does any city know better than anywhere else that you don't gamble on sports? Like, I went to Shoeless Joe's restaurant last night. I don't think he actually owns it. That would be weird.
Probably not at this point, because he's been dead for a minute.
He's been dead for a minute. But does anybody know better than the city of Chicago the ramifications of gambling on sports? It is the one golden rule. And I think the NCAA is going to fight this, because I think if they don't fight it, then that really will be the death rattle for the NCAA. I think
exactly. What purpose do they serve if they can't even enforce that rule?
This most basic of rules.
I mean, the most basic rules. We're not allowed to enforce don't gamble on the games.
And so I think you'll see. I think they've already filed an appeal. A lot has been made about the other schools that are saying they're not scheduling tech. Okay, so Georgia's already come out and said they're not going to do it at anything. And I think they were getting ready to announce a home and home with tech. That's the rumor.
Yes, that's why they had to. That's why Georgia involved themselves in this conversation.
It wasn't just to get the to get the.
Hey, that team 3,500
Just to-
miles away. We're not playing them. Fuck
just
'em.
to get their own bad press off the.
They're not. They're not in our conference, and we're never gonna play them. But we're never gonna play them now for sure.
Yeah, definitely can't play us. Um,
Meanwhile,
Nebraska-
the SEC still hasn't brought Georgia to Kyle Field.
when is that? That's got to happen. That'll happen eventually. The SEC.
I mean, at some point, but we've been in the SEC for 15
Yeah.
years now. Georgia has not. I think we've had 2 Haley's Comets in the time that since Georgia's been to Kyle Field. That's a whole different conversation.
So Nebraska has already canceled theirs, and the Big Ten, I think, is about to make a statement that they're going to go conference wide and not do it. I think the SEC will follow suit because you've already got 3 schools that aren't going to do it anyway, right? You've
Sure.
already got Texas, Texas A&M, and now Georgia. Is there really any chance you see Big 12 schools doing this? On the one hand, I can see it happening because these Big 12 schools know they're not making the college football playoff anyway. Like they don't have as much to risk
Yeah.
versus they can make a statement. And sometimes that statement, I think playing the long game matters more than trying to win some football games.
I can see it going both ways. I think the reality is that there are contractual obligations that are part of being part of a conference.
You mean when you sign your name on something, it's supposed to matter?
Yeah, it's supposed to matter.
Like
Where I
not
got that
gambling
idea
on
from.
sports.
Right, like exactly like that. So I can see that, the AD at U of H, the AD at BYU, the AD at Kansas may have some opinions and may be vocal about things, but I think at the end of the day, it hurts them not to have football games too, because half of those games would be home games. So half of those teams would be losing home football revenue, and you're not going to fill them with anybody that's going to draw fans at this point in the year. I think there are TV dollar restrictions that they could put on Texas Tech if they play Brandon Sorsby, and I think that's probably where a conference has more power, that you're going to lose part of your revenue share. And I don't think that's going to be a public conversation until it happens.
I already know your opinions on Ken Paxton, but this lawsuit just seems to me the most Ken
This is what he
Paxton thing.
does.
Like
I'm going to file a
impossible.
nonsense lawsuit. It's one of the ads that he ran in Houston prior to the primary against Cornyn was that he sued the Biden administration more than 100 times. Part of filing a lawsuit is having standing. Ken Paxton had no standing in any of those lawsuits, and guess what? Filing a lawsuit isn't the same as winning a lawsuit.
Right.
Filing a lawsuit for PR was exactly what Ken Paxton does. Ken Paxton and Ken Paxton's office have no intention of doing anything with this other than getting their names in the paper. And it's, like you mentioned, a really weird miscalculation because there's not a lot of people on Texas Tech's side right now. I guess the judges in West Texas, maybe that's who he's trying to court. But yeah, this is peak Ken Paxton of I'm sticking my nose in things that I have no business sticking my nose in. Can't wait for him to be the head of the DOJ or the Attorney General or whatever the fuck he's trying to get.
Senate. He's trying to be the senator. So at least he'll
Yeah, but he wanted a cabinet appointment for that. It's all just melted together.
at least if he becomes senator, he won't be AG anymore.
I mean, that is the one benefit, is that I actually think his power would be limited as a senator. His pay would not be, but he wouldn't be able to fuck over the state of Texas quite the same way that he did for the last 8 years.
No, he wouldn't. No, he wouldn't. Yeah, I mean, obviously there'll be a lot more to talk about this Texas Tech thing on Monday, but it just seems like it was so funny to me to watch them go from 2 weeks ago. Everybody was on their side for Play Texas, all that stuff, and then the other thing too, before we go on that, is we really don't even know how good Sorsby is. Yes, he was the best quarterback in the transfer portal. That's because usually if you're a school with a really good quarterback, you don't let him leave.
Yeah. I'm going to say something not politically correct, and my kids are going to scream at me if they ever see this, but it's the tallest midget competition. He was the tallest midget, and just that he may be great, but we didn't see anything at Cincinnati, which again is a school that is in the Big 12 and playing the same competition Tech's going to play, to make you think, oh my God, he's going to be a world beater difference maker. Like we talked about last Monday, he is valuable to Tech because he's better than what they have. And now that the backup, or the guy who was potentially going to compete for the starting role with Sorsby, is injured and probably not playing for most of the year, having Sorsby on the team playing is kind of critical for Tech's success. But that doesn't mean he's great. That means he's better than their other alternatives.
Yeah. I will say this too, without, obviously I don't want to do too much inside baseball, but I will say that the Tech players love the other guy. And I don't know
Sure.
how well this is going to go, because he's supposed to be back at the end of September. He'll miss 4 games from injury. So I don't know how much that's going to matter. But if you love one guy and then you're getting drama around the other guy that's replacing the guy you love, you have one bad game, that's a lost locker room.
Is that it sounds like you're talking about different situation, but Major Applewhite and Chris Sims.
Yeah. I mean, really and truly. At least the difference is that Chris Sims really wanted to be good and be a Longhorn. Tech Sorsby just needs a place to play for 6 months before he goes to the NFL.
No, I get it. Just the divided locker room thing. I still, as a fan of a program not the University of Texas, I was very glad when Mac created that quarterback controversy for no apparent reason.
For no apparent reason. Yeah. I go back to, if they just would have replaced Applewhite, if they would have placed Sims a little bit earlier against, was it Colorado? They had gone to the national championship. Mm-hmm. Well, speaking of national championships, Omaha starts today. Some bar does their predictions based on Jello shots by team, and Ole Miss was winning by about 1,400 Jello shots. Are you shocked that Ole Miss is drinking 1,400 Jello shots more than everybody else?
I am only shocked that it's Ole Miss. They have a SEC torch to carry, because LSU, I believe, is the all-time record holder for this particular competition, as one might expect from a bunch of drunk Cajuns in Nebraska. I know our last Omaha run with Texas A&M, making it all the way to the final series, we gave it a good run. I think we ended up winning that year, but we were still thousands behind what LSU does in a normal appearance in Omaha. So good for Ole Miss. I have seen that it's kind of a self-fulfilling prophecy, because who ends up winning typically that thing are one of the two teams in the final 3 games.
Because you're there longer.
Because they're there longer. It's not hard to figure out. What
Right.
You should be measuring, if you want to be if it was a predicting kind of thing, a predictor, who does it during the first 3 games? Because if you go 2 and Q, but you're still winning that thing, I think that says more about your fan base than sitting there for an extra weekend.
Having seen most of these teams, because like there's 5 SEC teams in there, I think obviously Texas has a puncher's chance. I've spoken. I don't know that middle bullpen is good enough for tournament play when you're starting to have to turn things around really quickly. Obviously, they start Dylan Volantis tomorrow night, and probably the best pitcher in the tournament is Dylan Volantis. So you've got to think that, and hopefully Georgia's offense was a little inflated at their super regional because of where they play. I think Texas is a good shot of anybody. I think I'd probably take North Carolina to win it all if I was being neutral. What do you think?
I think it's a very equal field. I don't think there were dominant teams in college football or college baseball this year. I know UCLA should have been that team based on what they did all season long. They're not in Omaha this year.
Does the Big Ten have a representative? They don't.
They don't.
Because the Big Ten is inflated, because you have teams in California that are going to dominate all those teams in the Midwest that can't play baseball till May.
But because those teams in California are as good as they are, they raise the RPI for people that have to play them, even if they lose.
Yeah.
So it helps the Big Ten to have USC and UCLA in their conference because it makes it, rising tide raises all ships kind of thing. I think it's a wide open field. I think you could pick North Carolina. I think you could pick Texas. I think you could pick Georgia. And none of those picks would necessarily be wrong. It is, like many baseball tournaments, going to come down to who gets hot at the right time. The benefit that Texas has, as loath as I am to say this, is that they probably have the best coach left in the field. And at this point in the college baseball season, things like tactics and strategy matter.
Yeah.
So I think that you have as good a chance to be really, really happy in a few weeks as you do to be really, really frustrated in a few days.
Yeah, I think that's probably about right. I will say that a shout out to Skip Johnson, OU head coach and former Texas long time pitching coach for the Longhorns, like for Augie back in the day. They did an image of a picture of all the SEC coaches left, and that dude's rocking a Hawaiian shirt. That guy's here on house money, and I'm here for it. Skip Johnson. But to your point though, OU probably comes in, as loath as I am to say it, probably comes in the hottest team of all of them.
Yeah, which is interesting because this is how quickly baseball fortunes can turn. They stumbled into the SEC tournament. I think they lost 3 of their last 4 series. They did not look like a hot baseball team.
Not
and
at all.
Once they got to Hoover, turned on the switch and have been really, really good since then. I wanted to also welcome, since this is ostensibly also a Texas A&M show, and I've lost his name, unfortunately, because I'm old. There we go. I wanted to welcome Barry Enright to the A&M baseball family. He is hired as the pitching coach, replacing Jason Kelly on Michael Early's coaching squad. A lot of people are excited about Enright coming and fixing the pitching and helping recruit pitchers. He has spent the last several years in Major League Baseball, most recently as Oakland's minor league pitching coordinator. So he has kind of followed a path similar to Max Weiner.
Max Weiner, right.
I cannot believe for the life of me, both of us have had Max Weiner on our coaching staffs, and nobody goes after this guy's name. It's so, it's just there.
Well, we don't do it on our show because our show is higher order thinking.
Right.
We are, classy's high.
I drink my Starbucks with my pinky up, not because I want to, because it's the right thing to do. But Barry Enright has followed that path, worked in the Angels organization, and a couple of others. So everybody's very excited. Most importantly for me and for Astros fans, he worked for a couple of years in Arizona directly under Brent Strom.
Yeah. And as Astros fans, we saw that Oakland's never hurting for young pitching.
Yep.
That's why they were. So, that's definitely a good get. I think it's interesting that Max Weiner seems to have no designs on a head job.
Not yet, but he's still in his 20s.
Isn't that wild? He's in his 20s.
The only thing he's done wrong so far, and my wife does not watch this, so I'm allowed to say this, the only thing he's done wrong so far in his life is get married that young. Because you got to think the amount of money he's making, the amount of the time he has, he lives in Austin. He could be experiencing a much different life, is all I'm saying.
He could. He could be experiencing a much different life.
Like you mentioned when we were talking about my son going to college. Why would you bring sand to the beach?
Why? That's a great point. Why would you bring sand to the beach? Yeah, no, but that is really good. It is a really good hire for A&M. I think what I find interesting that I think the path between the majors and college baseball is going to get a lot more fluid as college baseball has become much more important to Major League Baseball pitching development. Well, with the decline of the minors, the shortening of the draft, all of those things, I think, Tennessee's coach going and becoming the manager of San Francisco, though that's not going well, but that's also not a great team. So I don't know what to say about that.
We talked about that on one iteration of the show or the other, that Major League Baseball reducing their draft was going to be a boon for college baseball. NIL has just added to that, and playing 3 or 4 years of college baseball is now a realistic path to getting to the major leagues where it wasn't before, or at least it wasn't as quick a path, and it wasn't the desired path by Major League Baseball. Now
Right.
it is a free development ground, kind of like the NFL uses college football for. Another guy from A&M who made the leap fairly quickly, Braden Montgomery, was drafted last year or 2 years ago, and made his major league debut with the White Sox this week, and was the first rookie to hit a walk-off grand slam in his first game in like 900 years. So there are a lot of those stories. Not Tarek Skubal, the other guy in Pittsburgh.
Skeens.
Names are not working. Skeens, another
Mhm.
guy that was college baseball all the way, and then made a really quick appearance in the pros and has done really, really well. I think you're going to see more of that. And college baseball for a few years is going to be a lot more. It already is a lot more acceptable path for major league teams.
Yeah.
Because major league owners only care about money. It's not costing them. It's not costing them money to develop those players.
It's not. And plus, now a lot of guys are going to get their Tommy John in college. They don't have to do it in the pros.
Exactly.
There's that.
Let the state taxpayers pay for those Tommy Johns.
It's exactly. All right. So before we go, we have to do it. Dana Brown talked to the media about plans for the deadline, and it was all the same stuff. Andy, what do you want to see the Astros do at the deadline? Because right now, it's 2 steps forward, 3 steps back. It's Joe Espada is a feckless manager. Dana Brown is a clueless general manager. I don't know what do you want to see happen?
I try not to
at
get
the deadline.
angry. I try not to get angry about the Astros, because the reality is the last decade they've given me a lot of joy, and eventually we knew this was going to start breaking down a little bit. That's just the nature of how sports works. But when I listen to and watch Joe Espada say things like, this team's going to have to start winning series. No, fuck, they're going to have to start winning series. How are you not communicating to that to them? And I don't know, March. Why is
Okay,
it?
so let me ask you this.
June?
Let me ask you this, Joe. If you're supposed to start winning series, and you've already said that you're not going to pitch Josh Hader 2 innings in a row, then why do you pitch him in the 9th inning of a tied game instead of maybe seeing if you can grab the lead in extra innings and then pitching him in the 10th? And instead, they pitch him in the 9th, and then they pitch Abreu in the 10th, and they lose the game. If you want to start winning series, Joe, it starts with you.
Yeah, I still do believe that Joe Espada is going to be a good major league manager somewhere. I do not think it needs to be with Houston. I don't think this is the team that is built for his, let's call it, managerial style. And where I would have been 90% on that statement before, I'm probably 50% on that statement now, because he has made I don't think he has the clubhouse. I know the players are saying the right things, but nobody likes playing the way they're playing. And he is making decisions that are directly affecting the outcome of the games. Dana Brown is a whole different story, because he just seems to have his head in the sand. I honestly would prefer, you asked me what I want to see, I'd honestly prefer somebody from ownership or from the front office to take the stance that the Boston owner took, I guess, this week, about basically saying, look, everything that's happened this season is unacceptable. And if things don't dramatically change, it would be irresponsible for us not to do something different.
Yeah.
That to me is a
agree.
lot more powerful statement than, oh, we're going to be fine. We're back of the baseball card. We're getting guys back from injury, and all of a sudden we're going to roll off. If they roll off 9 wins in a row, they're a 500 team.
Yeah.
You just
And
lost
again,
2 or 3. You just lost 2 or 3 to the fucking Los Angeles Angels.
to the Angels, that they're not even, they're somehow worse than their record indicates, and their record
Yes.
is terrible. Because remember, they started like 10-2 or something.
And you can tell exactly how good the Astros are doing, because we are 40 minutes into a show and we just started talking about them, because I was relieved when I realized yesterday there was no score to check.
Yeah. I have not watched any of the games, at a minimum, on the Gamecast. And so I listened to that extra inning game before I went to bed the other night. It's been a really disaster, and the guy has to be fired. That's it. I don't know how.
I don't know
how
that I
you-
believe in. Yeah, I don't know that I believe in fire sales. I know they happen. I believe they exist. I don't believe that I like them. Somebody's going to argue with that. So I don't know that you go and sell Jordan Alvarez. I don't know that you necessarily sell Jeremy Pena, but I think you need to start having real discussions about what the movable parts on this team is and how quickly, if you have a competent front office and a competent scouting team and a competent general manager, what the return you could get for a Jeremy Pena would be, what the return you could get for a Hunter Brown would be, because we've got 2 more years, and one of those years is going to be truncated at the very best by a work stoppage with those guys. If you can get almost major league ready prospects, multiple almost ready league, there's so many holes at the major league roster, especially in the outfield and at catcher, that there's no shortage of needs. I think you have to be responsible. I think you have to start exploring those things and not just hope that somehow this team's going to go on a run.
And I certainly do not want to see you buying.
No. I can't imagine a more pointless thing than to deal off one of the few assets that we have for a guy that might make a difference in one win somewhere this season.
Yeah.
And that's what we'd end up getting.
Yeah, because you're not going to be in the Tarek Skubal race, right? So you're not in that race. So don't I don't want to see you buying.
Tarek Skubal wouldn't fix the problems on this team. Even if you could swing that, I'm always an advocate for getting talent. That you can, if you can get talent, get it. That getting a ace on this roster, even to pair it with another ace in Hunter Brown, doesn't fix the multitude of problems this team has with strategy, with the lineup, and with the rotation, and with the bullpen.
Yeah, it's the
and we're also in the middle of that fun time where Jeremy Pena can't play shortstop for 2 or 3 weeks. Yeah. He does this every season. Evidently, he's chosen this week to start that, so we're pretty happy with
that. Before we go, you have any emotional attachment to what happened to the Spurs?
I do not. I was talking to somebody, and I think Blue Sky, at least the crowd that I'm in Blue Sky, seems to be rooting for the Spurs. I am a Gen X kid, and for Gen X kid who grew up in Houston, San Antonio is where you go for vacation. So my attachment to the city of San Antonio, I like the city of San Antonio. It seems very cool, but it was, we're going to go to Ocarina Springs in San Marcos, and then we're going to end up at the Alamo, and we might do Fiesta, Texas. That's my San Antonio experience, and based on that in the Riverwalk, I like San Antonio. But I also grew up in Houston, and I'm a Rockets fan, and I did not marry into a Spurs family like some people on this show. So if I've got to have an NBA allegiance, it's going to be with the Rockets, and I can't. It would be tantamount to you deciding that you were going to start cheering for the Washington Redskins or the Washington Generals or Nationals or whatever. Guardians. No, whatever
they're called. They're the Guardians now.
no,
they're Commanders. They're the Commanders.
Sorry. Wow.
Cleveland's the Guardians.
I don't
Washington
think they're putting
Commanders.
enough caffeine in the Starbucks here in Fargo.
I don't think they are. I will say this as we end the show. I just got an email from The Athletic that said the headline was, "A team is finally trusting Mauricio Dubon and it's paying off." Astros Twitter is gonna just salivate.
I can never understand our fascination, and people who I consider logical, normal, rational people, the fascination and attachment we get to utility guys in this city. Mauricio Dubon could not hit here last year, and he makes $6 million a year. Mm-hmm. He has had a hot streak for about 2 weeks. Please check back in with me at the end of the season. Let me know what his numbers are, because I have a feeling they're going to look awfully similar to what they looked like last year for $6 million.
Also, to your point, people saying that we should have re-signed Bregman, we should have re-signed Tucker. Go look at those guys' numbers. They're actually underperforming who they would be with if they were still on the Astros. So that's the reality. All right, Andy, I'm going to go catch a plane.
Enjoy that. Enjoy your flight to Fargo. It's a lovely flight. You'll pass over Wisconsin and a little bit of Minnesota. So there's that.
I will
see you on the ground. I will see you on the ground in a few hours. But other than that, I think we are out. For Jim, I'm Andy. Enjoy your Friday. Enjoy your World Cup. Enjoy your Omaha. And enjoy your weekend.